We are broadcasting from the Blue Chew Studios. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code JR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. Hello and welcome to Grilling JR. This is Paul Bromwell, and I'm joined by the voice of wrestling. That's right, Mr. Jim Ross. JR, how are you?
I'm good, Paul. It's going to be a good week, busy week. We got a lot of great things on tap. We got, regular Wednesday night stuff, as everybody saw, and I'm excited about that. I'm going to Canton, Ohio on the latter part of the week with our owner, Tony Khan, and watch Tony Baselli get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Probably go to the game on Saturday in between doing TVs in Michigan. So it's nice when your owner has a plane and says, hey, let's go for a ride.
That's not too bad.
No, it's great. That's one of the perks of working for Tony. He knows I'm a football fan and love it. And I'm proud of Tony Baselli. He's a nice guy, one of the good ones. So I'm going to do a little mixing some wrestling and some football this week. Then I got an appearance on at the New Jersey State Fair on Sunday.
Okay.
So that's going to be kind of fun. Make a little appearance. I don't do many of them.
So that's this Sunday, the 7th.
Yeah.
For all those that are out there.
New Jersey State Fair. I don't have all the details as I should, but I blame that on the promoter. They should provide me all that information. I should have to go find it.
Yeah, get their shit together. Come on, This is Jim Ross.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. But anyway, I got a busy week, and it's going to be a good week. Doing everything I'm doing this week, Paul, are things I enjoy doing.
That's right.
I enjoy football. I enjoy being around Tony Khan. I enjoy working on the air. I think Rampage the ratings in Rampage is starting to increase, which is good. I think the only thing that beat us last week in Dynamite was the New York Mets and the Yankees Subway Series game. Other than that, we were number 2, but we were for 6 weeks prior to that, I think it was 6 weeks, we were number 1 in all of cable. So business is good, considering we have so many people on the injured list. We got enough guys on the injured list to start another company. Top guys, not just guys, just top guys. So as soon as we get everybody back healthy, it'll be a little bit easier on the creative process. But in the meantime, and I say this all the time, you got to learn to maximize your minutes no matter what you do in life. And I can see, you see the uptick for Jungle Boy. You see the uptick for Orange Cassidy. There's so many that are starting to step up and understand their role and what is expected of them. You got to be better this week than you were last week. Last week can't do anything about last week, but memorize what happened. So now's the time to step your game up. I'm just really proud of what a lot of these young guys are doing. And, we've hardly got a smell of Cesaro.
Oh yeah. Claudio. Yeah. Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. Claudio. Yeah, man.
But he's not getting overexposed.
Yeah.
We're waiting on Miro to get back. I see him on TV more often than not, but I don't know what his status is physically. But he's a player.
Another guy,
main event guy.
Yep.
So as soon as we get everybody healthy, it'll make things a little bit easier. But in the meantime, what I find intriguing and exciting is the fact that a lot of these younger guys, or other guys, not just younger, but other guys, are realizing they have an opportunity here to make an impact and to get noticed. So now's the time to step up, maximize your minutes, and get noticed. And I'm very enthusiastic about what I'm seeing in that respect.
Well, listen, JR, it's great, man. You talk about, you're in Columbus as we record this. You're headed to Columbus, Ohio this Wednesday. This podcast drops on the main feed on Thursday. You're then headed to Canton for the induction of Baselli. Then you're going to Michigan. Then it's, for Rampage, Battle of the Belts. Then back to Canton for the Hall of Fame game. You're busier than what you say, a fruit merchant. So there you go.
Busier than fruit merchant this week. But like I said, it's all things I enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's good.
So none of it feels like work, and I'm right on the private plane. So come on, how sorry can I feel for myself?
That's right.
Life is good. So it's going to be a real nice week for me and for those that I'm traveling with and hanging out with. So it should be a lot of fun.
It's been good to be a wrestling fan lately, JR. Speaking of life is good. We talk about, you and I were talking before we went on about, what's going on with some of the news in wrestling, whether it's, Vince stepping down, retiring, Triple H stepping up, already making moves. Then You move through SummerSlam, you move into Ric Flair's last match, which we're just fresh off of, and all the buzz and the hoopla and Undertaker, Bret Hart, Mick Foley, DDP, everyone that was there for that. Man, just a couple of big days and weeks and months for wrestling right now.
Yeah, it's been great. This is, like you said, a really a big week. You know, I enjoyed, I watched SummerSlam on Sunday night, sitting here at the house. Said, what am I going to do tonight? And, oh, yeah, SummerSlam. So I checked out I watched it from start to finish. I enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job. I enjoyed the show. And hats off to Triple H and his staff for circling the wagons as quickly as they did and coming up with an outstanding effort on pay-per-view. Their talent stepped up. A lot of the younger guys and other guys stepped up. And it's always encouraging to see that happen. So in any event, it's been a good week for a wrestling fan, starting it for me on Saturday night and Sunday night with the Flair thing. I watched the roast. That was on Saturday, I believe, right? And
Friday night, I think they did the roast. Yeah.
Well, Friday night. Well,
Yeah.
that's right, because Saturday was SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I like the roast. I like the concept of the roast. I thought if my only critique would be maybe they had too many roasters, and it went a little heavy, just for my taste. Now you got to remember too, I'm 70. I got, I make every second count, man. So I thought it was some of it got a little bit long for my taste.
Yeah.
That's all. But that don't mean it's a bad show. Like I said, I'm glad I bought it, and I paid retail for it, and bought the whole package all weekend. So it was kind of fun. I enjoyed Matt Hardy's panel discussion. I enjoyed Renee
And Bryan Danielson. Yeah.
Doing that with Brian.
Yep.
That was a really entertaining and informative. She's really, really good.
She's phenomenal.
And so is he. And
Yeah.
they both are, but she's really, really good about interviewing people.
Natural.
She has a skill for that.
Yep.
And I'm happy that she's doing what she's doing. She likes it and she's good at it. You like to see people in wrestling that like it and are good at it. And she fits that category very neatly. So, but I enjoyed that. I just, like I said, I thought that some of the roasters, which means nothing, quite frankly, but some of them I didn't know who they were. And they should have done a little bit better job of introducing themselves to just tell me who you are.
Yeah.
Because contrary to your inflated ego, nobody knows who you are, and most of them don't give a shit. So, and I thought I thought they got off course a little bit, especially with the three women on the panel. I thought that was a little. Well, it's a roast, JR. You got to understand what a roast is. You're so old, you can't understand what a roast is. Yeah, I know what a fucking roast is. I also know that sometimes things are better left unsaid. And going the low road, it's not always the road you want to take. And I thought that might have been the case a time or two, just as it relates to the ladies on the panel. It had to be a little bit embarrassing for them, But in any event, I'm glad that Conrad had the event. And everybody pitched in. But I just thought it might have been a little bit long. I really enjoyed what I saw, but I thought I saw a little too much, and I thought that they could have probably used a handful less roasters than we got. That's all.
I do got to put over a comedian, Tyler Morrison. I got to admit, I really wasn't familiar with him or his work going in. But, buddy, when he got up there, the whole crowd lost at my row were in stitches. Tyler Morrison, if you haven't checked out the roast, watch it. A lot of the comedians did a great job, but he's one that stuck out to me. But, JR, I'm going to ask you, first question of the week. If Conrad approached you and said, JR, what do you think about the roast of Jim Ross? Would that be something you'd be up for?
It'd probably be kind of boring.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, it'd be kind of boring. And it'd be the same, oh shit, well, payoffs are bad, creative was bad. He didn't give me enough attention. I needed to be burped, I needed to be held, I needed to be hugged. I need
to have my diaper changed.
I'd have to give that some serious thought, Paul. And like I said, I watch roasts on TV. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
But I'm just going from a former producer standpoint. It might have been a little long. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
And somebody's going to go on there, Ross Knox panel for being.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. They're just looking to get some recognition and get their their name in the paper, so to speak.
Well, if you think you'd like to see Jim Ross, the roasted JR, put it out there on social media and tag Connie in it.
Don't hold your breath.
Starcast 6. There you go. Well, listen, then that was the culmination. You had Jarrett, Jay Lethal. You got Conrad getting involved there, throwing the illegal, the foreign object in. What'd you think about our buddy getting involved and everything that he did for this major track?
I was a little surprised, to be honest with you. I was most excited about his wife pulling Karen Jarrett's hair.
That was awesome.
Nothing that a good old cat fight can't solve.
That Jezebel. Yeah.
So that was good. And I enjoyed that. It was spontaneous. I didn't see it coming, and it was entertaining. So good job by the ladies for getting a little physical.
JR, a week or so ago, I recorded with the Jarretts, and Karen was on there, and Jeff, and
I saw a little bit of that.
And Jerry, and Karen really lit me up, pal.
Did Jerry know he was on camera?
He did.
Is he aware now that he didn't say shit? Did he say anything?
He did talk, but our social media didn't really do a whole lot of clip heavy Jerry out there. He did a little shit talking on Flair and on the Crockett's, but the biggest shit talker of them all was Karen.
Yeah.
JR, I'm telling you, she's a natural born heel.
Yeah, seems like it.
Oh man, so we had a lot of fun. So that's in the books. Ric Flair's last match is over and done with. But buddy, here we are, me and you today, and we're gonna watch a little old WCW Saturday Night from August 8th, 1992, 30 years ago. And this is all about Ron Simmons, man, winning the WCW World title. And we're going to talk about everything else that was going on. We're going to see Jake Roberts arrive in WCW. You ready to do this one today with us?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So listen, all of you that want to do the watch along with us, go ahead and fire up the Peacock machine. It's season 1 and episode 19, WCW Saturday Night. Again, season 1, episode 19. JR, have it for us. I'm going to cue it up and hit play for us to watch it together. The matches that we're going to watch, they were taped at Atlanta's Center Stage Theater on July 27th and from the Baltimore Arena on August 7th for this show. And we're going to get right into it, JR. It's a hot clip. They're going to show that recap of Ron Simmons. So hopefully everybody's had a chance. If not, too bad. We got to get started here. Season 1.
We got work to do. We're burning daylight, kid. Let's go.
That's right. So let's do it in 3. And I'm going to launch this here. 3, 2, 1. Here we go, JR. Hit play.
What a shocking turn of events we have witnessed here as Ron Simmons fires up with those right hands. The big Van Vader manhandles the challenger into the corner. Vader with those heavy hands. Those right hands find their mark, but Simmons blocked it. Simmons comes back with right hands of his own. Simmons hammers big Van Vader into the corner. He's got him down. He's got him down on his backside.
We got them many pronouns, JR.
With the power.
So that's it. That's how it starts off. We're going to talk all about the big title change here. They get into the music. And you guys, and when I say you, like you said, pronouns, JR, you and Cowboy Bill Watts are going to open the show. And he's going to join you for interviews throughout the show. And I want to start with a question about Bill, because at this time, we would regularly see him on TV here with you, JR. And there was a lot of criticism, or at least one of them at this period in time, was that he was on camera quite a bit. I know he was one of your mentors, JR. What did you think of his on-air role as the authority figure?
Well, he might have been a little overexposed from time to time, but he's trying to establish what his brand was and what it meant and what he wanted to do, his philosophy. So there's a lot of information to evaluate there. As Conrad would say, there was a lot to unpack here. So there was a lot to unpack for Cowboy, and he always was never at a loss for words. He's booking it, he's writing it, so nobody knows the story or the intricacies of the story better than Cowboy, who's creating the story. So I can see where people could say, well, he's on there too much. But what is too much? Based on what?
Yeah.
Your doctor's thesis from elementary school. That's what it made it too much for you. I don't get that. But was he overexposed? You could make an argument that he could have been overexposed.
Did you enjoy working with him at this point in this capacity?
It was more fun back in Mid-South than it was here because of the corporate nature of the beast. So, and Bill was trying to make so many changes and get control and instill the passion and the talents that he had in Mid-South and the UWF that he never really found the combination for in WCW, in my opinion.
And JR, back, so like I said, there's matches that you guys are shooting to that were already pre-taped, and we're opening a match here with Mark Canterbury against good old Dustin Rhodes. This is a quick one, but as they bring him out here, I have a few more questions because you do solo commentary for the matches, and it looks like they're all dubbed in later, not live. Which do you prefer? Do you like doing it post or live, or what's your
live?
Yeah.
Live. Nothing beats live. There's nothing that beats live. You know, the art form of doing it, being an outstanding wrestling broadcaster, is the ability to do something in post production that closely resembles live, but nothing replaces going live.
We had Tony Gilliam. He was the ring announcer here at Center Stage. Any memories of Tony working with him?
Tony was his own worst enemy at times. Young, enthusiastic, talented kid from the Raleigh area. I think he kind of got hooked up through the Crockett connection with the Murnicks, Elliot Murnick. I can't remember the other Murnick's name, but there were promoters over there, and I think Tony Gilliam was kind of one of their young proteges. Meaning he probably went and got Diet Cokes and burgers and stuff like that for a while, but he was conscientious. He was damn sure ambitious. Let's say that.
Well, in the ring, like I said, we got Mark Canterbury. It's this one only goes about 3 minutes long, but we just saw while you were talking there, JR, Greg Valentine and Dick Slater, they came in, they inserted a promo on Rhodes and Barry Windham. It was announced during the contest that Sting would not be in Chicago or Chattanooga, Tennessee in the coming days due to the injury that he had sustained in Baltimore at the hands of Jake Roberts. But man, I tell you what I remember Canterbury from. He'd be the famous later on as the hog farmer, Henry Godwin.
Henry Godwin. And I always thought he was underrated as hell. You can see that when he was Henry Godwin, Mark was probably another 50 to 75 pounds bigger than he is now. But really the athletic big man, you know, my thoughts on athletic big men, they make you money if they're booked correctly. But I've always had plenty of time for Mark. He's hard worker, tough guy, big, tough, durable guy. Always liked his game. And, you know, he had some injury issues and other things that kind of created bumps in the road, as a lot of guys do. But he's a talented dude, no doubt.
We had a question come in also, and I thought this would be a good time to ask. It was from Brian Fuller. He said, Mr. Ross, any Dick Slater stories? Dustin and he look a little different at the age of 41, right? I mean, he's talking about, I guess, Dustin now compared to, I guess, Dick Slater was around 41 years old at this particular time when we're watching. But anything, fond memories or fun memories of Dick Slater?
I think Dickie had a perpetual concussion. He was always a little cloudy, shall we say, from a lot of his concussion issues. We flew from Cowboys plane one time to go down to Shreveport to do interviews. And Slater was the quote unquote booker, although Cowboy was the booker in reality. And that match should have gone a little longer.
Yeah, it's over.
There was no heat. There was no comeback. It was the shits. And it's sad to say, because the fundamentals were left out of the middle of the match. The heel has got to get some angst, some heat, so the babyface has something to come back from and somebody to beat. But we took off from Jinx, little municipal airport there in Jinx, Oklahoma, in Cowboys plane, and Slater fell promptly asleep. And then when we had to turn back because of something minor, and Slater wasn't aware of it, so first thing he did was get on the phone with Bill, and goddamn, and I got on the phone with Bill and got my ass chewed out.
Oh no!
Because Dickie didn't have a clue what was going on. Cowboy didn't know that we didn't crash or something. Oh, you know, Slater was incoherent, and he was, I don't know what happened. Bill, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. He sounded like John Laurinaitis a little bit. Remember him?
Yeah.
It's that sad. That's bad.
That was good.
So anyway, Cowboy was a little upset that Dickie seemed to be impaired, and he was the booker. So
Well,
whether he was or he was not, I don't know. I didn't share with him. He didn't share with me. We did not imbibe together. We were not smoking dope on the plane. So even though that had happened,
right.
just not that time.
That's right. Well, listen, I appreciate you sharing this, but man, they got the big angle going on down right now with Nikita, Rick Rude, Mankind. You just flipped it. Let's listen to a little bit of the commentary because we got a big surprise.
Making his way to the ring. Sting trying to fight both men. Big right hands, and now the Stinger's gone. He attacked us in the face with that steel chair, and Rude right in the ribs. The Stinger's got him up. Sting has got him up. Over his head.
Oh, God.
I detest these goddamn pronouns.
Arms extended over his head. The referees are there. This is chaotic. Look at him. What strength by the Stinger.
Good Lord. I forgot about that.
That's unbelievable, Joe.
He may throw him right outside on Cactus Jack. The referees are trying to stop this thing. Sting dumps him right on Cactus Jack. Koloff had things going his way. And now Sting drags Cactus Jack back here. Wait a minute. What's going on? There's some commotion. Who's that coming through the... That's Jake Roberts. What is Jake Roberts doing here? Jake the Snake Roberts slithering into the ring. Jake Roberts attacking Sting. And now he's got the chair. Jake Roberts doesn't even wrestle in WCW. What's he doing here? Jake the Snake Roberts nailing Sting with a chair. Oh, short clothesline. He caught the Stinger. Oh, my God. Roberts with that steel chair. Jake the Snake.
These are the days when a DDT was used as a finish.
DDT, he dropped him on his
Or a
face.
knockout blow, not a high
Steel
spot.
chair with a DDT. Jake the Snake Roberts coming out of
It's pretty damn
nowhere.
effective when it's used
He's
that way.
manhandled the referees.
It's not so effective when it's a high spot.
Slapping Sting in the
It's
face.
embarrassing.
The DDT around the chair. The Stinger's got to be out of it right here. Not another one. Not another one. Oh! Another DDT. Right on the chair. Oh man. My God, I don't even. He's got that glove, that snake handler's glove. And that. What's going on here? Oh no. Oh no. Sting is out of it. The referees have been the locker room is finally empty, but Jake the Snake. Oh. The Steiners and Ron Simmons there. There's Barry Windham. Sting is hurt badly at the
All the
hands
top
of Jake
baby
the Snake
faces.
Roberts.
Perfectly
He's got
placed.
some huge reptile there. That evil, despicable, devil-like Jake the Snake Roberts coming right out of nowhere. Oh, this is horrible. Sting needs medical attention, and he needs it badly.
That dude over there on the far
Jake
side of the
the
ring, that
Snake
red shirt,
Roberts.
he just come real close to getting kicked out 2 or 3 times. He was
Oh,
really,
really?
oh, he was biting for he was going for it all, man.
The guy with the red shirt and the glasses, the old guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The DDTs on the chair. Sting is hurt badly.
Jake had a hell of a mullet,
Jake the
didn't he?
Snake
He's something
leaving
else.
the arena.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Exhibit A of why you have the moniker Voice of Wrestling. That was just you all by yourself. And you want to talk about excitement for everything that just happened, making it feel like a surprise, taking you on that journey, that emotional connection. Let's listen to what you and Cowboy had to say.
Was designed to end Sting's career. Luckily, that did not happen.
We are very lucky. You know, when a guy like Sting or any other of our professional athletes are injured, we want to find out just how bad that injury is. And you take the precautions because that was a neck injury. And so you make sure that he's carried out in the proper manner to not add or aggravate or make the injury worse. And I think WCW had handled everything up to that point very well. The officials were on the scene. They were trying to restore order. But there was a wild card in the deck, something nobody could have ever anticipated. Jake the Snake and his appearance. And, of course, Sting is all right comparatively. All pro athletes go with pain. As Bobby Lane, the great Hall of Fame quarterback, said, you got to play with pain in the NFL. In any major sport you go, an ordinary person can take time off from their job, but an athlete goes, and Sting is back and he's going. But the sad thing is that cost him his rematch with Big Van Vader.
But there would be a championship matchup. We'll show you how that came about right after this timeout.
All right, we're going to get into that next. But, man, talk about an impactful debut for Jake Roberts, JR. I mean, first night on TV.
Yeah, Cowboy knew how to book guys. He knew how that worked, and he knew how to maximize their minutes, as we like to say. Now, I know what I'm doing here. I'm setting something up for him to say.
Yeah, here we go. Let's check it out.
Made a major announcement.
Well, Jim, when I came here, I said the first thing we have to do is rebuild our credibility with our fans. That our fans are the most important aspect of our wrestling business because they pay their hard-earned money to come, and they deserve to get what they paid for. And they had paid for a world's title bout. So with the situation that happened, I thought it was as fair as we could take it. We had 7 to start with. We had ended up with 8 guys that put their name in the bag, and it was drawn randomly, and it was Ron Simmons. Certainly Harley Race and Big Van Vader have an excuse. Everybody needs an excuse, don't they? When you're a world's champion, that means you're world's champion. You got to be ready to take on anybody and everybody, anywhere. But I'll say one thing, Baltimore, you got it, because we believe that the fans are important, and we gave them the title match.
Fans, let's go back to Baltimore and see exactly how the drawing transpired.
Joe, we're going to pause right now because I'm excited to talk to you about Chili Sleep. And
Chili Sleep.
Oh, love it.
Sleep
Don't you,
cool.
JR?
Oh, yeah, man. The worst thing in the world is wake up sweaty.
It is.
Unless you got but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
You had physical activity.
Someone there keeping you warm.
Yeah, maybe. But I look, this is one of those products, Chili Sleep, that I sit back and say, there's no damn reason I should not have invented this. It makes too much sense.
Yep.
And we got a great offer. We'll tell you about here in a second, but golly, Chili Sleep is the way to go. It's so simple, and I don't know how anybody can sleep hot.
No.
I just can't do it, man.
I need it hot. I mean, I need it cold. Sorry, I need it cold. I need it dark. Those two things, that's what makes it a good night's sleep for me. Chili Sleep's going to get you halfway there by making it nice and cold. And listen, you're in control of it. You can set the temperature for what you want it to be. They're mattress toppers. They're temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress. So you want to definitely check it out. They have sleep systems that we're here to tell you about today that are going to make your sleep so cool and comfortable. They also have the Chili Blanket, the only weighted blanket that can also be paired with a control unit for the ultimate sweat-free sleep. We know that's what you love, JR.
Oh, yeah, sweat-free, baby. I quit sweating a long time ago.
So listen, head over to chilisleep.com/JR and you can save 30%.
30%.
That's amazing.
He didn't misspeak, ladies and gentlemen. Save 30% off the purchase of any new system.
That's right.
This offer is available exclusively to Grill and JR listeners. That'd be you folks. And only for a limited time, because at 30% off, that's a hell of a discount. So if you want a cool night's sleep, find REM sleep, get totally comfortable, this is where you need to head. chilisleep.com/JR, and you can save 30% off this amazing product.
Yep. Check it out. Their Cube or Orler sleep system. Those are the sleep systems that you want to find. That's CHILI sleep.com/JR to take advantage of their exclusive discount and wake up refreshed like JR does, like I do, every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a very important announcement, I introduce the Executive
Gary
Vice
Malcolm,
President
the world's most
for
dangerous
Wrestling
announcer.
Operations in World Championship Wrestling.
And that's the voice I remember of WCW, Gary Michael Capetta, getting that crowd going.
You know, I'm sure it'll take some time to get to the bottom of all this. I've been in this business too long to where everything just comes out on the surfaces as it originally looks. However, I want to say one thing to everybody here in Baltimore. You paid to see a world's title match. And by golly, you're going to have one. What we've done, we've got 7 top contenders. And we're going to bring them out here and we're going to have a drawing. They're going to put their names in this sack and we're going to have a drawing.
This is all Bill Watts, right?
Oh, yeah.
We want to get all the names in the sack, and then, Gary, we're going to let you draw. And whoever you draw out of that sack is going to wrestle Big Van Vader for the world's title here tonight. But Gary, we're going to have you make the drawing, and whoever you pick that comes out of that sack.
Wait a minute! Ain't no world title matches going down around here without my name in the sack. I'm United States champion. I am the #1 contender.
Without a doubt, as a U.S. champion, you're the #1 contender. Put your name in here.
All right, everybody, we're adding to the list Ravishing Rick
Grizzly
Rude.
Smith, Jake Rogers' father, one of the Kentuckians,
Here we
holding
go.
the sack. He got left holding the bag again to Grizz.
The All-American Ron Simmons.
So in that situation, JR, is the name just full of Ron Simmons' name, or
I
he
don't
just
have any
says the
idea.
name?
I was over at the podium.
Ron Simmons, if you go back to the dressing room, we'll give you some time to get ready, and then you're going to wrestle Vader for the world's title.
You know how long I've waited for this. If it's going down, let's get it over with.
So Ron Simmons is the lucky man. He's designated to take on Big Van Vader. Billy didn't want to wait. He was ready to get it on right then.
That's right. That's what every athlete should be. You don't have to wait. You don't have to make an appointment a month down the line. You don't have to go, I got to get in shape. You're supposed to be in shape. And I'll say one thing. Harley was griping, but Big Van Vader didn't back off an inch, and he pummeled and punished and made Simmons pay a tremendous price. Simmons had to wonder what he was into. He was tested to the max, and we don't have time for the whole event, but we're going to show you the closing moments. But it was a greatest victory. People in Baltimore were so excited. Our crew was excited, our camera crew, the announcers. I've never seen such an electrifying event. That's wrestling. That's living. That's the way it ought to be.
Fans, let's go see how Ron Simmons made history. And so it will be, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Simmons, with the luck of the draw, he will have the opportunity to wrestle for the championship.
I fear no man, and I feel no pain.
Vader with those heavy hands. Those right hands.
Leon
from
could make a
Simmons.
punch, just looked like he was killing the guy, and sometimes he did. But he was so believable.
To the corner. He's got him down.
Best super heavyweight I ever saw. Most athletic super heavyweight I ever saw.
With the power.
And Ronnie Simmons didn't realize how good he could be. He had never had really an opportunity of any
Simmons taking
major
it right to
singles
Big Van
area.
Vader. With all he's got here in the early going. Simmons in the clothesline. And down goes the world's heavyweight champion.
So again,
And I think the fans here, Paul, I think they were just shocked as hell. They were getting a title match, and then how it came out was certainly beyond their comprehension at that point in time.
and all this commentary, JR, this is done in post. You weren't even there calling this one live, or were you?
No, I was there calling it live.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I thought so. This sounds as live can get. So
They just did nice editing.
Vader hammering away at the challenger in this world's heavyweight championship matchup.
Nick Patrick, the referee.
That's right.
His dad was Joe Hamilton, one of the assassins.
Gut check time for Big Ron Simmons, and Vader relentless, staying very close.
Good old Harley out there on the
In
outside.
tight.
Harley can still
With
whip
Simmons
anybody's
with those
ass in
right
the building.
Kick to the midsection. I don't think
JR, take us back to that night. I mean, we're going to watch this and we're listening to you commentate, but I'm going to turn it down a little bit because we know what happens here. Ron wins the belt. But I want you, as you recall now, watching this, thinking back to being in Baltimore, take us back to what it was like in the locker room. And then once he won the belt, what was it like afterwards? And
well, you see, I don't in the locker room, Paul. I'm not in the locker room very much. I'm in the locker room. I go out there early and we go on the air, and so I don't know what the mood was in the locker room during the early part of the card because I wasn't in there. But I think everybody was kind of surprised.
There it is.
That happened.
The power slam and the 3 count, and the place is going crazy.
Simmons has won the world title!
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner
You just look at it with great anticipation. Ron's a popular guy. We all love Ron's his legitimate athletic prowess. He owned Florida State University for several seasons. He just had never gotten that opportunity. And the one thing about Cowboy didn't have any issues elevating African Americans. He had an African American Booker and Ernie Ladd. He had an African American top babyface and Junkyard Dog. So Ron becoming the champion under Cowboy's tutelage or his purview didn't surprise me whatsoever. I didn't know it would come that soon, and nor did I know it'd be over that early. And of course, there's the Dream.
Dusty Rhodes with the big hug.
Coming in to endorse the rub.
Yeah.
The championship rub, if you will, to Ron.
So I want to share with you some notes from the Observer as we continue to talk about this. You and Bill Watts right now, as we're watching this, are doing a little bit of wrap up on that. First of all, I want to ask you, in your estimation, JR, greatest moment in Ron's career?
I'd say, yeah. I'm trying to think of something that was more significant in his career. And I was around it quite a bit, on all levels. I don't think there's anything any more significant in pro wrestling than what we just saw there for Ron Simmons.
Well, Dave Meltzer chimes in, has some information here from the Observer around this. And he said, the best thing about Simmons winning the title is that hopefully never again do we have to hear this promotion do outdate race baiting hype every time an African American gets a title shot. They did interviews in the building until about 1 a.m. after the show for airing as early as this weekend, and there were implicit instructions made not to bring up the subject of race relating to Simmons winning the title. So JR just seems to be very important for them to make sure that that's not a part of it here, according to Dave.
Well, I think what we're trying to do, Paul, is just basically say that this guy is an amazing athlete. He was a 3-time All-American at Florida State as a nose tackle. He finished in the top. I don't know. He was in a conversation for the Heisman Trophy, for God's sakes, playing on the defensive line. That's unheard of. So all we wanted to do was to highlight the genuine, legitimate athletic skills of this athlete who happens to be an African American. That's kind of the way I looked at it. And I don't think I didn't need somebody to prompt me not to say he's a black man. We could see that.
Right.
So, but I understand why they wanted to do it. And I agree with Meltzer on that point. How much more do you need to, why do we need to go there?
Yeah.
So, we're patting ourselves on the back because we had the courage to anoint a black man the world champion. That's weak to me.
Tony Schiavone wrapping up an interview here. We'll try to catch the tail end of some of this here with Ron.
Stand here now and be the world's heavyweight champion. I can't put it in words, man. This is just emotion. I am telling you, this is a dream come true. And I am very proud to be standing here representing the people as the heavyweight champion.
Very sincere comments from Ron Simmons, but one thing about it, he can't rest on his laurels. The rematch has already been signed with Big Van Vader.
With the intensity in the WCW, nobody can rest on their laurels. But you're right. The champion or ex-champion has a mandatory
Of course I'm right,
rematch.
Bill. God damn it.
That's going to be a war because you got Harley Race, and he will be focused on Ron.
So Meltzer goes on here. He said, these angles were kept pretty much of a secret. While there were a few wrestlers that knew ahead of time that Simmons was winning the title, and many wrestlers who knew the title was changing in Baltimore, but some needed to believe it was Sting that was going to get the belt, and everyone knew something big was going to happen, although exactly what was a well-kept secret. In Baltimore, supposedly neither Vader nor Simmons knew for sure about the title change until they got to the building that night.
That's true.
Most of the wrestlers were shocked backstage when Roberts showed up doing the angle, even though it was generally assumed Roberts was the bad Bob on the August booking sheets, and there were some expectations that he would debut at center stage the previous Monday. Roberts wasn't backstage before the show began, and almost nobody even knew he was in the building or in town until he did the angle. So, JR, talk to us about why the importance of keeping the boys, I guess. And
because they have the big mouths, Paul. They talk. Yeah. They want to make themselves relevant by having more information than their neighbor. Hey, did you hear, brother? What's going on, brother? And brother and brother, 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 brother. It's just it's ego, insecurities. Man, I love this guy's game. When Dan Spivey became Waylon Mercy, he gained a fan for life for me. I love that characterization in WWE at the time. Danny he's perfect in that role.
Do you think, though, it came a little bit too late for him in his career after all that hard bumping in Japan? And
of course. Yeah, he was beat up.
Yeah.
And well, this dude here, he should get an ass for that haircut.
I don't know how. What do they use, a bowl? I don't even know.
I don't know. That's that Mo Howard haircut.
And then he's got the rat tail, though, to finish it off.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But so they have him here, Spivey. You plug the wrestling hotline. You mentioned guys like Bret Hart, Ric Flair, and Ted DiBiase will be discussed. And these are all WWF guys, JR. Obviously trying to just drum up more hotline dollars and discuss.
I guess when Gene came to work for WCW, Gene made a deal to run the hotline. And he also made a deal where he would get a piece and other guys got paid. I never got the first check on the hotline, never made a dime on it ever. And I had the hottest night Saturday and it generated more revenue than anybody else, but I never got paid for it. I'm not complaining about it. Sound like I am, but it was just a whole different system. And Gene came in and changed that. And of course they had to do it to get him hired.
Man, could you imagine a red ass JR hotline? How fun that would have been back in the day. And oh God, like you just spitting some red ass like you do here on the show. People would have paid all kinds of money per minute to hear that. Look, we got the Dragon Sleeper, Dan Spivey with the big win, but man, he had the look. You're right, JR. The look, the charisma, the scary eyes.
Danny's a good guy too, boy. He's overcome a lot. He's clean and sober. You know, he's married to Ann Russo, who was one of my assistants at WWE for so many years. They live down here in Florida. I haven't seen Dan in a long time, but he's seems to be doing well, healthy. But man, they always call him in the Tampa area, Dan, the left-hand man, because he would knock your ass smooth out in a street fight with that left hand. So he had a great reputation in that Tampa St. Pete area. Bad dude. But I always liked Dan.
Well, there we go, promoting the WCW fan club show now. But
I wonder how that's going.
Yeah. Well, hey, this is going to be a fun one because, look, two of your favorite wrestlers are in the ring, Chris Sullivan and James Moats. I think they're about to get their ass kicked, JR, because here comes the Junkyard Dog and Mr. Hughes. They were calling him Big Cat at the time. Yeah,
Mr. Hughes. Big old Curtis. Curtis got him. We talked about Curtis's wrestling school. They're based in Atlanta. At that point in time, JYD just did his most athletic move of the night. His dance on the apron.
Old dance on the apron?
I don't know which one's Chris Sullivan.
Nobody does, JR.
I guess it doesn't matter.
No.
It does if you're James Sullivan's family, I guess.
It does. James Moats and Chris Sullivan, whoever they, yeah.
Look how big old Curtis is, man. He's thick. Played defensive tackle for the Kansas State Wildcats, I used to tell him. And still they started beating OU's ass from time to time. Then I had to back off.
What did you think of this character change from Mr. Hughes, turning him into the Big Cat?
Well, I always thought Curtis had unlimited potential. Curtis just had some health issues. You know, he'd fall asleep driving a car or something. He had sleep issues. And so he never was totally healthy. So, but I always said, I like Curtis. He was a respectful guy and had a good attitude. Of course, JYD just trying to figure out how he can hang on a little bit longer. Seriously. I mean, you know, he was heavy. He's probably 25, 30 pounds heavier than he needed to be. That kick wouldn't break an egg. He just did.
Oh, man, but he had those HUD butts down pat, buddy.
He was well. He had great. Here's the thing. Seriously, he had a great personality.
He did.
Unlimited charisma.
Yep.
He just couldn't execute anymore. He was out of shape, and he's blowing up. He's blown up right here. He's breathing through his mouth like he's a racehorse.
Well,
that's an illegal tag, by the way. If you're going to have a legal tag, both feet got to be on the apron outside the ring. But that's neither here nor there.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody even pays attention to that rule anymore, JR.
Probably not.
No
what
way.
do they pay attention to?
Not much of anything, I don't think.
No, it's and they don't, and a lot of wrestlers don't realize if you just use the rules to your own benefit, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Use the rules for your benefit.
Your friend.
Yeah.
It's not anarchy rules. Oh, look, there's the nice regular tag. Hey, they're tagging in and out quick. This is like Rock and Roll Express tagging in and out over here. These guys in their red pants. Now, this guy's getting ready to get destroyed earthquake style. Holy smokes, what an elbow.
Big old time elbow.
And it's over, bud. That guy, we'll see you next week.
So you notice that who got the fall? The younger of the
Big
two.
Cat. Yeah.
Big Cat got the fall. That tells you all you need to really tell you about that.
Call Jim Ross. There you go.
99 cents a minute.
Got to be 18 to talk to JR, though.
That's right, by golly.
Well, listen, during that match, Jim Ross, they announced Nikita versus U.S. champion Rick Rude. The match that was taped on August 2nd, 92 in Baltimore will be shown in its entirety on tomorrow's WCW main event program. So for all those that want to go back and pull that up on the Peacock, you can have fun and check that out. So there we go. Van Hammer, JR, and Tracy Smothers.
Yeah, good old Tracy.
Rest in peace, Tracy. I got to meet him down in Huntsville for
Tough guy.
Low-key Big Hog weekend with Tony Schiavone a couple years ago, and he was a great storyteller and just great to meet him.
Yeah, tough guy, boy. Good football player. I think he played at Carson Newman or something like that. Now, this is where WCW's upper management wanted the WCW to be more WWE-like. That's the reason Van Hammer got created.
Yeah.
He's a sports entertainment guy, if you can't tell.
Sports entertainers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be in the Jericho Appreciation Society.
And certainly Tracy is a pro wrestler.
Yeah, definitely two different styles.
Yeah, he passed away about, a year ago?
Something like that. Year, 18
I always
months.
liked Tracy.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he and, what Armstrong was it?
Brad?
No.
Oh, hold on. I'll look it up. Go ahead. You can go ahead now.
Well, they were probably the more underrated tag teams that we had and come through there in a long time. Scott
Armstrong.
Isn't that right? Who's the referee? God damn, there's a ton of Armstrong.
Oh, that's Pee Wee. No,
I know that's Pee Wee Anderson.
Scott Armstrong's the referee.
Yeah. Steve Armstrong.
Yeah, I believe it's Steve.
I think it is. Anyway, they're a really good team, and they don't get the credit that they deserved over the years.
Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers, the wild-eyed Southern boys.
Yeah, they were good. They were very good. They had a couple of matches on some clashes I thought were outstanding.
A lot of Armstrongs. I just saw a couple of them at StarCast this past weekend. Road Dogg was there, and Scott was there, and
that's good. Conrad did a good job of staffing that Flair thing. I thought a lot of good, really talented. Tom Pritchard was there putting matches together along with other guys, and I think that's pretty cool. So Conrad covered his ass, and that takes some effort.
Oh man, I tell you what, it's a who's list of people that were there, influencers in the business that were there. And you're right, he did it the right way. But the Armstrongs, man, what a family, what a wrestling family, what a legacy they'll have for a long time.
Forever.
Yeah,
they'll have that legacy forever. Quite frankly, their dad was such a class act. Golly, what a nice man, Bob Armstrong, the Bullet.
You can't.
Cowboy loved the Bullet when Cowboy booked Atlanta. He always knew that Bob would have great matches no matter who he worked with, and would do this. Here's an interesting concept. He sold tickets.
You can't have a conversation with Arn Anderson without him talking about his love for Brad Armstrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all love Brad.
Yeah.
Brad's. How do you not? How could anybody have any heat? God damn it. Brad Armstrong was a great talent. My name's not Jim Cornette. I all those guys. Brad Armstrong was about as good as you get.
Brilliant in the ring.
Yeah. Nice
Van
shoulder
Hammer.
breaker. That should be a finish.
Van Hammer with a nice shoulder breaker. Yeah.
There's where you get a kick out at 1 when the guy says, "Fuck you, I ain't going to sell your shit." So I'll kick out at 1.
That's exactly what happened.
So that's what he did.
I got to ask you, did the WWF, did they ever show any interest whatsoever in Van Hammer in the later 90s?
If they did, I'm not aware of it. If they did, it was not something so prominent that it jumped off the page. So I don't know, but I just don't know of it ever being serious if it did happen.
What do you recall of him at all backstage? Anything, memories of Van Hammer, guys like?
He was too green. He should have been still in developmental or working indie shots, or he needed another year or so, maybe more, before he was ever on TV like this. Too quick, too soon, too green.
They just thought he had the look.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he did have a good look.
Yeah,
but he wasn't ready for prime time.
Nice super kick there from Smothers. I don't understand how you give Dustin Rhodes the opening match, 2 minutes, but give this one, what does this feels like? It's 6:24 where it feels almost like 16:24.
Yeah.
But they continue to battle out here, and we have Randy Pee Wee Anderson calling the action in there.
From Rome, Georgia, Arn Anderson's hometown.
That's right. His buddy drove him around.
Pee Wee's the guy that used to carry all the big bag of change, quarters for the concessions, the
vending machines.
The vending machines for JYD.
I love that story. Here we go. Are we going to get the 3, JR? 1? Oh, we're just still doing 1 counts on each other.
Yeah, this match is about 3 minutes past its expiration date.
And now here we are.
Well, they have nothing to do. See, Tracy's working with this guy who doesn't know how to work yet. So him getting a snap mare and into a very loosely applied rear chin lock is not doing anybody any favors. If you ask Tracy, God bless his soul, he'd say, well, that's all the guy could do.
Yeah, I just saw 3 kids get up. They headed out. They're going to either concessions or the bathroom. This is just not good right now, JR.
What do you want me to do about it, Paul? Rebook
I don't know. He's starting to Hogan up, though. And that the wind's just taken out of his sails. But, I mean, this is the problem. Not a problem, but if you think about it, back in the day, so much talent on this roster in this era. We're going to see more of it here soon. And but then you'd have a match like this right in the middle of all of it and just kind of take the win.
The match should have been shorter, and Tracy should have been stronger, and Tracy should have gone over. I don't know who goes over here. I'm assuming it's going to be Van Hammer.
Yeah, Van Hammer pins him with a slingshot suplex. So once we finally get to that move, then we can all celebrate. And,
Weak ass leg drop.
Let's ask some Ron Simmons questions while this is still going, because we did get a few questions that came in from some of our listeners. Yambag Jones, here comes the slingshot, says, JR, minus the dumbass gladiator helmet Vince made him wear, what do you think was the #1 reason we never saw Ron reach the heavyweight title pinnacle again?
Gosh, that's hard to say. Vince maybe didn't have the confidence in him to carry the banner. I don't know. Somebody's waiting on me to say because he was black. That's not true. I don't know. You got to have confidence from the top. And, even though Ron was reliable and tougher than hell and a good dude, I don't think Vince had full confidence in him to carry the load in that role. Why is that? I don't know. You have to ask Vince. And he's got plenty of time for Q&As right now.
Well, there you go. We got our next matchup up, and we're going to jump into some more questions once we talk about this one a little bit. It's Greg Valentine and Dirty Dick Slater, and they're taking on the Italian Stallion and Ian Weston. This match is going to go 8 minutes and 17 seconds, JR, when Weston submits to Valentine's figure 4. And then we're going to also have some promos and things of that nature. But what did you think overall of Valentine and Slater as a veteran pairing?
Could have been good. They're the kind of team that make good heel champions, I think, and they could certainly uplift a young babyface team, which these 2 guys they're working with here aren't. This is strictly here for Slater and Hammer to get TV exposure, and to win. It's funny sometimes if you notice Slater, he channels in and out Terry Funk.
Yes. Let's listen to this promo if I can get the volume going here.
Bad twitch. Well, I'm out why you got a bad twitch, because you have to wrestle Greg Valentine and Dick Slater. But tomorrow night, you don't have to worry about it, because I'm going to be wrestling you in the main event. There won't going to be no tag matches after that. After I'm done with you, I want to see him twitch a little bit.
A very sadistic individual. Tough.
There we go. Okay, Slater. So a little bit of a promo there, and I'm going to go keep moving on with some questions here as we watch this match.
Let's have them. Let's go.
Yeah, getting smacked around here. We got
all right. Well, question number 1 is. Go ahead. You're up next. Let's go.
Matt Sangiovasi's up next. JR, there are all these stories of Ming being a tough guy and a guy you don't want to mess with. Ron Simmons is also one of those guys. Can you give us an example or stories of just how tough Ron was, or any examples of someone with a little too much liquid courage to try to step up to Ron?
So what's this guy's name?
Matt Sangiovasi.
Matt wants dirt.
Give us the
Matt
dirt.
needs dirt. Matty needs dirt, Paulie. I need dirt. So did anybody ever get drunk when they try? They nobody could get. You can't get that drunk. Okay, you can't get so drunk you're willing to take on Ming in any environment. If you are, you need to go to the hospital because you're getting ready to be checked in for alcohol poisoning. Simmons, nobody screwed with Ron Simmons. And that was twofold. One, he wasn't to be trifled with. And secondly, he was an honorable guy that the talents respected. So, but no, I don't know. I don't know anybody ever trying him. You know, he stepped right up. So he was not going to, Ron had no fear. He was fearless, which means you have no fear. You're fearless. That's very good. One thing I didn't do to screw that up was use a pronoun. So, but no, Ron's easy to get along with as a rule. You know, I never had a crossword with him in all the years we've known each other. So it's just a matter of, you know, why Vince did this? Why did Vince do that? I don't know. Hell, how do I know? And what kind of stupid fucking question is that anymore? Seriously.
So
how would I know what Vince thinks about, well, why didn't Ron get the push? Well, they had to wear that helmet. That helmet killed his career. No, it didn't kill his career. He went in the Hall of Fame, made a lot of money. Jesus Christ. Well, it's stupid. It's embarrassing sometimes, and we read these questions on the air. We give them airtime.
This is part of the interaction piece.
That's it, the interaction, my ass. We're just filling time.
Well, no, this is, hey, here we go. Matt has a follow-up question. Being Cowboy's right-hand man, can you give us your version of the contract story of Jake the Snake? So do you remember that conversation back in the day?
No, but I don't. Cowboy did all that. I didn't do it. And that was his job. He set the price in and negotiated with the talents, as he should have, because they have to know who they're working for and give that man or woman all the respect that they can muster. So, you know, I don't know. I'm sure that Jake didn't get what he thought he deserved. He never would. He never did. He never has. He never was going to. But he fits in the line of about 90% of the other talents in his line of work. None of them get paid what they believe that they're worth. So I don't know. I don't know what his I don't know what he got, but I'm sure he got top money. But it wasn't top money in today's marketplace. But it still was damn good money, no doubt about it. 6 figures, mid 6 figures, I'm guessing. He might make $200,000 or $300,000 on the downside, something like that. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Thank God I didn't have to do that. I was prepared to do that job, and I ended up doing that job after that for a long time and working for Vince.
Yeah.
But you know, but I learned from Cowboy. I understood that. But no talent is ever paid. They never come back to you and say, "Look, oh man, you're just paying me too much.
I can't take it. It's too much.
It's killing my tax man. He's wearing out pencils and all this stuff. It's just not right. It's just killing him.
Too many comments. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what Jake, but I'm sure he got top money. But I'm also sure if you ask Jake this very day, you get him on the phone, he'll tell you, well, I got lowballed. I thought I'd do better. They all think that. nobody's ever been overpaid that I can ever recall in one time in almost over 40 years of being around this crazy shit.
All right, Jay, are you ready for more fan questions? Because you love them. All right, because it's either that or talk about Italian Stallion who's just rolling around the ring and can barely breathe. All right, so we'll go more questions. Here we go. Bobby KF5 GTX says, JR, why didn't every superstar have entrance music?
God, that's a stimulating question. I'll have to have a week to work on that answer.
Do you need?
Because if they're not, they don't have something planned for them. If they're,
it wasn't a Bill Watts decision or anything.
We can make a decision if we want to.
Like he just wanted the superstars to have the music, but the rest didn't. It wasn't something like that. I'm trying to help this guy out a little bit here.
What guy? This guy in the green, those tights?
The guy that asked the question.
Oh. Well, it's a production element generally reserved for top hands. And so because you're getting your music played and you still lose in 8 minutes and 40 seconds, still doesn't make you a star. So I'm just saying, I'm if it matters, if you don't have any, they don't have any plans for you, you know that pretty quick, especially if you don't have any entrance music. It's just needle drop and generic. Maybe you need to work hard on not becoming generic. Maybe you need to work hard on changing the perception of the decision makers. That might be an idea. Maybe you go out there and bust your ass and get real good at something you do.
Yeah.
And then they'll give you music and pyro and all other good stuff.
Earn your music, earn your pyro.
Well, why not?
There you go. I like it. JR, Jeff Stewart's up next as we watch the Hammer work on the back of this poor kid. He's just getting worked over. Did you think WCW would get any mainstream media coverage from Ron Simmons winning the belt? I don't remember any. Did the company?
Well, they would have if the old school WCW PR machine was on their game. It's a story that writes itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And it was less than heartening to see what didn't happen. It should have been a layup, and it just. I think in the Atlanta area, Omni business, things like that, it did got some good PR and locally, but it should have been, considering that that CNN and headline news and all that stuff was based there in the same building we were. You'd think we'd get a smell, but I don't think that happened.
JR, Al Stanford's up next as the match continues on here. He said, why do you think Ron Simmons never received on-air acknowledgement from WWE about being a former world champion?
Because they had that helmet they wanted to wear. It's all about the helmet.
Right.
And he had entrance music.
He did.
Everything was coming together perfectly. It's a perfect storm. A helmet, gladiator, music. My God. What a concept. And these guys finally.
Thank you, Jesus. The match is over, and they got the win here. Greg Valentine.
When did Vince, until this week, WWE hasn't acknowledged anybody doing anything with a handsome young man.
Comments made earlier this week with Jesse the Body Ventura and Jake the Snake Roberts. Why did Jake the Snake Roberts return to WCW? More importantly, why did he assault the Stinger? Perhaps Jesse the Body Ventura can get to the bottom of this situation. This is a very, very unique conversation. Listen very closely.
You know, everybody thinks and everybody knows that Jesse the Body Ventura is slightly partial towards reptiles. And we all know that the holiday season generally comes in the winter time. But not so for Jesse the Body this time. The holiday has arrived in the middle of the red-hot summer. And the holiday to me is the arrival of one of my favorite reptiles, Jake the Snake Roberts.
That's very kind words, Jesse. You know, I'm getting a lot of flack. Everybody wants to point a finger and say, why could you do that? How did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you get Cactus Jack involved?
What
Let
a
me
mullet.
tell you this. Nobody points a finger at the brave hunter that goes out and sits in a deer stand, drops a little salt around the tree. Then when the dumb deer comes prancing up there, he points that gun right down there and blows his brains out. Nobody points a finger at him. And that's all I've done.
I baited a hook so the fish would chew, and that's exactly what he did. He looked good, though, didn't he? He came down there and just kicked up on everybody, gonna be a star.
Here's what's cool.
Something.
There's no
The
script.
reason I did this is because when I was brought into this world, there were people standing over me.
These guys are creating content on the fly
and telling them
both these
that they can
cats
get
are
a
pretty
shot
damn
at
good at it.
life. All they got to do is say their prayers, eat their vitamins, and train and be a good little boy. Well, that man that stood over me was my father. Thanks a lot, Dad. You didn't tell the kids you got to fight for every bit of it, did you? You want to stand there and let them follow you down this little garden path, man, to where? Tell the kids in L.A. it's a free world. It's easy. Tell the kids in the ghettos it's easy, Sting. It's your cross to bear. When I hung that cross over you, Sting, I'm telling you it's yours to bear. You walk with it a while. I'm tired. I'm tired of standing up trying to do the right thing because there is no right thing. The right thing to do in life, and you well know it, is survival.
And run for governor.
You know what I loved about it? I love the tears. I love the crying of all the little stingers out there. They're crying and they're complaining because Jake the Snake has arrived. And Sting, you felt the brunt of it. And I don't think, Sting, you're ever gonna survive from this one because you've never met a reptile like this man.
I will do anything and everything. Expect the unexpected from the snake. Why do I wear this glove? For my own protection. These days you need protection, man. Whether it's a gun in a pocket or whatever it takes, you gotta be protected at all times. Sting, you just had a little taste, and believe me, brother, I've got a thirst that cannot be quenched and a hunger that will not be satisfied. I am gonna make your life one living hell.
I hope you're watching out there, Sting, because the message is crystal clear to you, and it's coming down in the form of a snake.
Hey, JR, it's time to share with our listeners something that we're both super passionate about, and that's protecting our families. And yes, we're talking about GoliathLife.com, and it's really about peace of mind. I want you to think about life insurance for a second. We all have medical, we have auto, and we're not sure if we're ever really going to have a need for those, if we're going to have to use it. But unfortunately, JR, you and I talked about it on this show. Death happens. We're not going to live forever. But we got to make sure that we have the proper things in place, like life insurance, to protect our families. Isn't that right?
Oh yeah, you got to. It's common sense. You know, you gotta do all you can realistically to protect your family. Life insurance is one of those solutions to a tragic problem that's going to beset everybody. So it's just a way of life. And so you can either ignore it and be stupid because you want to spend an extra couple of bucks, or you can do something about it and cover yourself, and more importantly, cover your family. Because you got to wonder, what happens to my family when I'm not here? What happens to my family when I'm dead and gone? Have I done a good job? Have I been a good father? Have I been a good husband? Have I been a good significant other by getting life insurance? You can't live without it. You may say you can. I have all these years. Well, you're lucky. You're just lucky is all I can tell you.
That's right. And guys, listen, GoliathLife.com knows what they're doing. They streamline the entire process. They get quotes from more than 20 carriers within minutes. You pick the terms and payments to fit your budget, and they are there to help. And it's so easy. I know because I've done it. They sent someone to my office, and I skipped all that, the hassle of the phone calls and the paperwork and all the extras. GoliathLife.com makes it simple. So get GoliathLife.com right now. Get a quote. You can get multiple quotes right now from the comfort of your own home. GoliathLife.com. Go there now. Begin your application. Just a few easy clicks, and you'll be on your way to protecting you and giving your family peace of mind.
Yeah, and remember, no hidden fees, no upsells, no hassle. Hell, not even a phone call.
That's right.
This is a great deal. If you don't want to be hassled and bothered and all that stuff, but you got to protect your family. And this is the first giant step forward on that referendum. Help your family, get life insurance, and I promise you, the relief that you're going to feel after getting this taken care of is going to be huge. It's going to be big because you've done something now to protect your wife and your kids or whatever. However your family dynamic is assembled.
That's right.
So it's a big deal. GoliathLife.com. It makes buying life insurance simple and pain-free. So check it out, GoliathLife.com.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill, and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to SaveWithConrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from SaveWithConrad.com.
Wow, what a promo!
Good interview, and like I said, both those guys they're extemporaneous speakers of, and they're both very talented. Now we're back to the formulaic, no music. Pyro.
We got Barbarian coming out.
And no hope to win against the Barbarian.
This guy's getting another jobber match here. But I want to talk a little bit about this because Jake did mention his dad in the promo. He just said my father, who we all know. You mentioned we saw him earlier, Grizzly Smith.
Yeah.
And then he's going to make Sting's life a living hell. But man, at this time too, we know now Jake's back history, the hell of being Grizzly's son and his upbringing and how it contributed to the drug and alcohol use. And at this time, he's putting everything in his body that he can, JR. And, it's just an interesting period of time as we reflect back where he's at in life at this point in his career. He's the most sinister point of his character. He now is going to the Black Cobra at this point as well. And it's just real life coming into the storytelling there a little bit.
Yeah, he's a great character. And Jake did a hell of a job. He developed his own television personality. His own persona.
He was, and then you had Jesse out there talking to him as we see Barbarian just destroying this guy. He was only doing weekly commentary for the worldwide shows. Was his asking price, JR, do you know, was it too high to do more shows such as what we're watching right now?
It might have been. It might have been. I know the worldwide show was a high priority because they needed to make an impact in syndication. And I think everybody's take on that was that, Jesse with his name identity and his high level of skill would help that syndicated product. And then he came, I think he and I did some clashes together.
Yes.
But he was the highest paid announcer at that time in the business. As far as we know, according to the dirt.
I want to talk a little bit about the business, and we had more notes from the Observer, and it said from the WCW perspective as a month, July was an absolute disaster. If you remember the state the company was in last year, that's saying something. July 91 was when Ric Flair was fired, making it the first time in NWA WCW history that the champion didn't lose his belt in the ring. During the first week of July, the early part of the much ballyhooed Great American Bash Tour, which was before fans at the arenas knew Flair wasn't going to appear at the shows, WCW averaged a whopping 3,490 paid attendance per event, a figure perilously close to the WWF's current average. For the remainder of the month and what turned into a disastrous Bash Tour, the average was decimated down to a scant 1,305 people.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Because of the high first week, the overall average for the month was slightly above this year's average attendance. Now, when you throw in the lower ticket prices in 92, you have average gates dropping a substantial 29% from 1991, and that's with running fewer shows in the middle of the week that traditionally hurts the average. However, in comparison with June, there's been an increase in attendance and average gates. So again, the overall trend seems to be that business bottomed out in May and June and slowly started to rebound in July. Television ratings aren't quite as low as June when they bottomed out, but are still struggling. Where the word disaster comes is in the Great American Bash pay-per-view show. While the 91 Bash is long remembered as being one of the worst shows of all time, it's the 92 Bash that hit the skids as far as viewer apathy. The buy rate was cut more than half from last year, much of which can be attributed to having so many pay-per-view shows in such a short amount of time. But much of the blame also has to be pointed at the company itself for doing such a poor job of promoting the show, including nearly ignoring the show on television the weekend before the event in order to promote an Omni show instead. What say you, Jim? Is this one of the lowest points for WCW?
Oh, I think so. I think you just outlined it. You made a case for that point. It just was horrible. We had nobody over. We had nobody that people could not wait to buy a ticket to go see. And it's that simple to me. Just nobody was hot. Nobody was hot.
Well, as we talk about that there, Barbarian gets the win here with the big boot. Barbarian, man, he just he never really made it to the big time as a single star.
Well, it's called charisma and connecting with the audience. You know, what a sweetheart of a guy, thank God, because he wasn't. Who the hell's going to handle him except maybe Ming, and that's arguable.
Oh, let's check this out. You, Doc, Terry, and Paul Heyman. My goodness.
Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy, along with Paul E. Dangerously of the Dangerous Alliance. Last week we heard of a business arrangement that you two gentlemen have struck with Paul E. Dangerously. What's going on, Bam Bam?
Well, Jim, I think Paul E. and the rest of the world knows just what Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Terry Bam Bam Gordy has done. We have did something no other tag team has ever done when we combine these two titles right here together, right, Doc?
That's right. And let me tell you one thing, Paulie, let's get it straight. By the time we come back from Japan, we don't even want the Steiners to even be around.
So what's the deal, Paul?
What the deal is exactly this. You see, Doc and Gordy have had no competition here in America. They are the world tag team champions, and the only team that's been a thorn in their side have been the Steiner brothers. The Steiner brothers who stole the world tag team titles from Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson, and we never got our rematch because they lost the titles to Doc and Gordy. So we'd love to bust the Steiner's face just like that for the hell of it, but oh no, I'll tell you what we're going to do, Steiner brothers. We're going to take the many, many yen that Doc and Gordy have offered to Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson, and we're going to bust your faces and eliminate you from WCW so that you can never ever challenge them again for all the yen in the world. And one other thing, if you doubt us, Steiner brothers, what Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson are capable of, you watch this next match, and I promise you one thing, Doc, and I promise you one thing, Bam Bam, you will not be disappointed. But as for you, Pillman, and as for you, Zbyszko, and you, Steiners, you better pay very, very close attention.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the ring. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good stuff from all guys involved on that one, JR. Always love to hear a little Paul Lee.
Yeah, he's brilliant then. He's brilliant now. You know, he took a big bump on that SummerSlam. I thought was surprising, and he apparently has survived it.
He did. It gotta love seeing him go through the table. And man, there's our guy right here from the Ad Free Shows Network. That's right, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. And one of his best friends of all time, beautiful Bobby Eaton. Man, talk about the talent that we've just seen in the last 2 minutes between.
Well, we didn't have a shortage of talent, Paul. We didn't have a shortage of bodies. We had a shortage of talent that were over, and that was the deal. And it takes time to reset your board and to reset your locker room and to get everything together. And you know that's kind of where we were right here, just trying to evolve and get to a spot to where something catches on fire, something that we didn't expect jumped out at us, and there we go. Oh, hi, Larry. You know how they run with Bruno one time? There's Brian Pillman.
We got
his
Brian.
Kid looked good. Where did I see him last? Was he at the Flair thing?
He was at the Flair show.
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. Brian Jr.
He did. He looked good.
I'm sure pulling for that kid. There's nobody wants to be a star like Brian's son. He's really hungry. So and he's getting bigger and thicker, and he's working out hard. And I got a lot of time for that kid. And there's Larry. Hi, Larry. Hi, JR. I work with Bruno and Shay. Got fucked up my payoff. Heyman pulling off his best Michael Keaton impersonation.
Ah, that's a good call there. You got Heyman in the corner, the Dangerous Alliance members, Arn and Bobby Eaton, and they're taking on the duo of Pillman and Zbyszko. And your referee, once again, Randy Pee Wee Anderson, longtime buddy of Arn. So this is going to be a good one. I hope so, because it's a 21-minute match, JR. Are you ready for this? Buckle up, because we're going to watch a nice long match here with these four, again, talented guys.
Well, if any four guys create a tag team match that are any more talented than these dudes,
yeah,
there's no reason that they can't have a good match. There's no reason they shouldn't have a good match. Yeah, I hear it all the time on, various shows. I'm a big fan of Busted Open and all those guys. They talk about, Bubba Ray especially talks about, or Bully Ray, whatever. He'd always be Bubba to me, I think, but how much he admires Bobby Eaton. And a lot of guys share those sentiments. There's nobody hardly, I don't think I ever saw anybody more fundamentally sound than Bobby Eaton. As far as a heel, average sized guy, just storytelling son of a gun.
Bully was again there this weekend, but you know who was also there? Dennis Condrey.
That's cool.
Starcast. How about that?
He was a good hand too.
Loverboy Dennis.
Dennis is a good guy. And, I met Dennis first time in Mid-South when he came in with Cornette and Bobby. That's a team that Cowboy just put together. There were guys that weren't being booked and utilized in Memphis. So Cowboy went to meet with Jerry Jarrett. Watts brought in Rock and Roll. I think we did better in that trade than Memphis did. I think, I might be wrong, but I think we did.
Absolutely.
We got a booker out of it, and Bill Dundee, who did an outstanding job. Of course, he'll get knocked because, all he did was repeat what he'd done in Memphis. So what? You think that's new?
It worked. Why reinvent the wheel if you can get it over? And again, it's regional.
It's new material for a lot of people.
That's right.
New content.
Jay wrote in a question as we watched the match here. He said, JR, why do you think WCW failed to capitalize on this moment? And this is, I think, again, talking more about the Ron Simmons deal in terms of marketing. And what was Vader's mindset about doing the JOB job?
Well, that's the difference in having Cowboy as the boss and somebody else is less convinced it's the right thing to do. I don't know that Leon had a hell of a lot to say to Cowboy about the decision that Cowboy was making. It was the right thing to do. Leon could see that. It wasn't personal. That's what guys got to understand sometimes. Because you're putting somebody over, it should be flattering that you're selected to do these honors, as they say in Calgary. So, we're just trying to get guys, Paul, in a position to mean something. And there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. There's a lot of ways to look at this scenario. And there's more than one right way to get it done. I said that many times in this very broadcast, this very, very show.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it too. His first question, do you think they failed to capitalize on the moment in terms of marketing?
Yeah, of course. I said it earlier. I think I answered that earlier.
Yeah, and to your point, like you said earlier, there was a lot going on here. We already talked about the shift in just what was going on in terms of the house numbers were down. You even said, hey, we're trying to establish a star and superstars at the time. So, yeah, there's a lot that needs to be worked on. It's been well established here, and that's what Bill Watts is trying to accomplish with this roster. And that's just the period that WCW was in at this point.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that we didn't have the talent to turn this thing around. But what we needed that we didn't have a lot of, apparently, was time.
Yeah.
And patience. And a lot of guys just still wanted to have the same match time after time. That was a good shot by Bobby. A little shot in the back, the lower back, smart. Referee couldn't have seen it. He cheated, but he didn't get busted.
He's a heel. That's exactly what he was supposed to do. When the refs
they cheat to gain an unfair advantage. That's what heels do. Mm-hmm. And then when they're caught, their hand in a cookie jar, they deny. Deny. Well, when Brian was not hurt, he was healthy. He was such an athletic, natural.
All the skills, and this is the Bengals tights era. Brian Pillman, man, Flying Brian. He was just a phenomenal athlete. He had all of it. You've talked about his college football background on several occasions, but man, he could do it all.
Yeah, he could, and he got great training there in the Hart family dungeon and working in Calgary. That's how I found him. He was a Calgary guy, and I think Kim Wood, who was a strength conditioning coach for Cincinnati forever, a huge wrestling fan, got a hold of me in Atlanta and got me tape and pictures and all the necessary things for Brian. He also, I think, same time we were exchanging messages with Makin Singh, who was Mike Shaw, who came Norman the Lunatic, one of the most miserably failed gimmicks ever. And that's a sad thing about it, because if we had just left Makin Singh alone and let him work the gimmick that he had perfected over the years, we would have had a lot better deal than Norman the Lunatic.
Yeah, see, I don't remember that first gimmick that you're talking about. I only knew him as Norman the Lunatic. So,
well, Makin Singh was his gimmick in Calgary.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't exposed to Calgary back in those days as a kid. But I tell you what, what I was exposed to was this classic tag team wrestling that Bobby Eaton is putting on a clinic in the ring, stretching out Brian Pillman right now.
Mm-hmm. And to be furthermore, we could say they're doing it all in a very friendly part of the ring as far as Bobby and Arn are concerned.
Cutting off that ring, baby.
Cut off the ring, working your half the ring, make it a handicap match.
As we watch this final move, we had one final question this week that came in. I'll get to you, JR, as we're watching this. Michael Gavin Ali, a.k.a. Badman, says, did Ron Simmons becoming the first black champion from 1992 change the business for good, or was there still a long way to go?
Well, I think it's the same thing in any racial scenario. How could, especially if you're or if you are a minority, you're going to say, we've still got a long way to go. In today's society, we have a long way to go. So back then, we knew we had a long way to go. Ron Simmons was a step that came late, well past due. He of African Americans certainly deserved to be the top guy, and should have been the top guy long before that. So I just believe that. Again, like in today's society, race relations, we have a long way to go. And hopefully we'll all live long enough to see better days as it relates to how minorities are treated and represented.
Yeah, the diversity in wrestling is just, it's
amazing.
Gotten so much better. Oh, absolutely. And,
you arguably the best match of the night at SummerSlam was two women that started the show off. I'll make an argument for that.
That was a fantastic opener.
Yeah, so it was, and so that's a massive change. And that started, and I think that goes all the way back to Trish and Lita. By the way, I saw Trish; she looked beautiful and was so engaging to the fans at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame up there in Waterloo, Iowa, a week or so ago. I was very happy to be involved in that. Very honored.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit as we watch.
Well, I received the Gordon Solie Award, which is nobody deserves a Gordon Solie Award but Gordon Solie, but I was honored to be there to participate. I got the Lou Thesz Award, I think, in 2011, which is the highest award that they offer, and that's what Trish won this year. She's the first woman to be given the Lou Thesz Award, and so I was real proud of her. But it's a great organization. They have a great Hall of Fame. They got a great, all kinds of great memorabilia. Just terrific. It's there in good old Waterloo. Great hosts, or what you're made to feel like family. So anybody that's ever considering going to something like that, mark that on your calendar.
Yeah,
Waterloo, Iowa, and you'll never go to a friendlier, cooler event as a fan than this one. It's really cool.
So she's recognized there at that event, but to your point, her and Lita really were trailblazers in terms of raising the bar for some of the stuff that we're seeing now. And as you mentioned, SummerSlam kicks off great. Now, unfortunately, it sounds like Becky Lynch has an injury that came out of it, but then we saw some fun angles that came right out of that. But it's an exciting time to see how dynamic and women's wrestling is right now, and the diversity, as you said.
That's great. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And, and I'm happy that I got to sign the two women that broke that mold, that made their way to the main event at Monday Night Raw back in the day. And that was back in the day where a lot of guys are pissed off because it's the same mindset that male wrestlers had back in the early days when the women, or when Moolah booked the women, and they'd come in, 2-3 times a year to your territory. And it pissed all the men in the locker room off because their buddies were unbooked that week, and they weren't making any money if they weren't booked. And so the women got all the heat. That's why they had to dress in closets and janitors' closets and just treated like crap. And I always look forward to the day that would change, and it has changed. So now what you've got is you got women that wrestle like men, and you got some men that lock up like women. Figure that out.
JR, as I sit here and we continue to watch this together, and I saw Arn Anderson doing his thing before he came out, one of the things we haven't even talked about yet, and we've mentioned StarCast and Ric Flair and all this, buddy, the Four Horsemen reunited all on stage for an amazing stage show. If you haven't got it, you can still order it on Fight TV, by the way, and watch all this stuff.
Right.
But Arn, Tully, Luger, Wyndham, JJ, Rick, all of them on stage for well over an hour and a half, telling stories, reminiscing. It was so awesome to see them all together.
Yeah, I missed that, but I'll try to go back and catch it because some of my favorite guys, no doubt.
Conrad had a custom Jim Crockett Promotions backdrop, the stage that you used to speak in front of at 6:05 on Saturday night, done full woodwork, built to the hilt for them to do all their pictures and staged and constructed. It was just so impressive. So yes, I'm shilling for this event because these are opportunities as fans. If you're truly a fan of that era of wrestling, you have to take advantage of the opportunity to see. You're not going to see guys like this all together at the same time.
Well, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because we have the thing called our mortality rate.
That's absolutely right.
We're not all going to be here forever. So when you get a chance to see somebody in an environment like that, or go back and watch it on demand or whatever, then do it. Enjoy it, because these guys are like the rest of us and getting up there in age. We're not going to be around forever. And I'm not a negative guy, but the reality of it is that we're just not going to be around forever. So getting an opportunity to see these guys while they're still able to put sentences together and have some fun is an opportunity you should grab.
As I see Arn working over the arm, he was again around this weekend, and just to be able to see his son Brock work too, man, he's spitting image of his daddy. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's going to be a good hand. He's a real nice kid too, very polite, he's broken the business correctly,
respectful.
So I got a lot of time for that from Arn and his family in general, but him and that son of his, the son follows his dad around, which is smart. He listens, which is even more smart. Keeps his mouth shut and listens. But someday he's going to be a great ring general, is Brock Anderson, no doubt. Going to be really, really good. You just got to stay healthy and sane and keep working hard to improve.
You got Arn here and Flying Brian and roll it forward. All these years later, you have Brock and Flying Brian Jr. doing their thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch this.
And I thought that all those younger guys like Brian Jr. and Brock Anderson realized the opportunity they had on Sunday night in Nashville, and they took advantage of it, which I was really proud to see.
All under the Jim Crockett Promotions umbrella, which is just amazing when you think about that, especially if you're a fan of the nostalgia, which is what we're really all about here. As we look back on a lot of these old school classic matches.
This has been a pretty solid match, actually.
It has been.
They haven't gone down into abyss. They haven't languished. They told a pretty decent story. They're trying to make tags. They're trying to do logical things. And there's a quick tag. Larry was there in the right spot at the right time.
Your buddy Larry Zbyszko.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in. The savate kick.
Oh yeah, he's got his routine down. Larry's funny. He's very intelligent, crazy, a little eccentric. Gotta love him.
When's the last time you talked to Larry?
Long time. I don't know. Too long. And no particular reason. Just
yeah.
That's the nature of the wrestling business. Unless you go to an event like Rick's and over the weekend, you don't run into each other as often. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these appearances are becoming very lucrative. I mentioned I'm going to be at the New Jersey State Fair this Sunday afternoon, and which I'm looking forward to. But it's just we don't cross paths as much, and it's just the opportunity there to renew and maintain your relationships doesn't exist as much as it used to. Unless you go to one of those autograph shots, and then all bets are off, because then it's just like class reunion.
And that's the one thing I noticed, JR, is all the wrestlers, maybe when they have a little downtime, they all can't wait to connect with each other this past weekend. They're all going over and hugging and going and visiting each other and reconnecting.
That's
using
good.
that opportunity. So that was really cool too. You saw Paige and Lita, and because Paige was there and she was connecting with Lita and Tennille Dashwood, who was Emma, and all of them just kind of visiting with one another, and it was just cool to see that.
And somebody said Paige looked really good too. Like I say, she was ready to go.
She looked great. She had a great panel discussion as well. Said, I'm not ready to sign anywhere right now wrestling. She's diving into some other things in life. It's great to be a free agent. But she did say, she had a soundbite where she did say that it would be cool at some point to eventually step in the ring with the doctor, the DMD, Britt Baker.
Absolutely.
So, man, that
it's
would
a
be awesome.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, man. That would be a match that I would pay to see.
And we hope so. I mean, they've come a long way with what they can do in the medical world. So we really hope that it can work with her and her neck. And, man, how fun would that be?
You just got to be smart and work around it if that is an option. If there's no option, then there's no option. You just forget it and move on. But if it can be worked around intelligently and strategically, I'd love to see that matchup.
Without a doubt. And there's a lot of other dream matches that could happen as well. They're continuing to work on Zbyszko's arm. They are really cranking on it. And this is how you're going to end up seeing this match.
They're telling a story.
Yeah.
And Larry's right-handed, so they're working on his left arm. Makes sense. The dominant arm is the right arm. So they selected the left arm to focus on, and it's pretty smart strategy.
By the way, the off-the-top rule was waived for this particular match. That was a rule back in these days that you couldn't come off the top rule. But that's waived. They're allowed to do that. And Bobby Eaton, they continue to work on him with this cross arm bar. And it's got to be coming to an end here, JR. There's only a few minutes left in the show. And we still got one more interview. Arn coming in on the hot tag. Again, cutting that ring off, as you said, back to the arm with the boot. And cranking it up once again.
Good wide base, good fundamental soundness.
Look at him drag him over.
Referee in perfect position to see if there was a tag or not. Fireman carry, old school. Nice takedown. Works just about every time. I'm surprised Larry didn't get in the ropes and get a cheap break, but he didn't.
There's the ref making the count. He's in the ropes. Pillman comes in, gets away. They're double team. Larry's trying to fight his way out of it. But to your point, that was smart. Keep that right hand, using that right hand.
Bobby, staying right on the arm. Right. They're continuing to tell the story that they established several minutes ago. They're connecting their dots.
This is Anderson. This is old school Anderson wrestling, man.
Yeah, that's Arn. That's Gene and Ole.
Yeah. Just go ahead and make that one body part inoperable. They can't use it. Old school wrestling. Love it.
Look at Larry. Larry's going to get scientific all of a sudden.
Bobby Eaton is in on the tag, and again, locking him up, reverse headlock, got him in the ropes, refs on top of it, making the count.
And we forget Paul Heyman's at ringside. Arguably, is Paul Heyman the best manager ever? Many would say absolutely.
Definitely has to be one of the best mouthpieces ever.
You know,
whatever you want to call him.
Cornette's right there in that conversation, without a doubt.
So listen, we come back from commercial break, JR, and guess what? This match is over. That's how it worked. Let's listen in.
On Larry the Cruncher Zbyszko. It looks as if Zbyszko has suffered a broken arm. As we said before we went to the commercial break, fans, that we would keep the cameras running. Our tape machines have documented what has happened during our timeout. Let's go now back and show you what has happened just a few moments ago right here at center stage. Anderson and Eaton continue to work on the arm. Zbyszko's arm very, very weakened. More armbar takedowns. And then the tag was made. Remember, the off-the-top rope rule had been waived, and this was the move that apparently has broken the arm of Larry the Cruncher Zbyszko. Zbyszko couldn't take any more punishment. The referee has stopped it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are your winners on Anderson and Beautiful Bobby.
Not even Bruno did that, Jimmy.
Well, obviously, Anderson and Eaton dead serious about
I'll
the
never wear that
offer
tie
from
again. That's an Auburn tie.
Oh, yeah, we're rocking the Auburn colors. But I tell you what, I love the authenticity and realism of how that all ended. I mean, he was screaming for his life.
Yeah, good.
Here we go.
Champion, Big Van Vader.
I told the world, and I'm telling you again, I'm telling you, Bill Watts, there was highway robbery. It's like going into New York City expecting to play the Yankees, and then the Dodgers show up. There's something crazy about all of this.
No! Vader's making no excuses, Ron Simmons. You are the heavyweight world champion, but Vader, he fears no man and he feels no pain. Ron Simmons, you were an All-American. Vader was an All-American. You started this war, and now Vader is going to end it, brother. I'm coming after you. I want it back. I want it back around my waist. Come and get me, Ron. I'm standing right here.
Let me tell you something else, Simmons. You started this war, and this man right here is going to end it. We're not going to stop short like they did in the Gulf War.
It isn't over.
Some very strong comments from Big Van Vader, but remember, ladies and gentlemen, the rematch has already been signed with Vader and Ron Simmons. And as we leave you here today, let's take another look back. This past Sunday in Baltimore, the biggest night in Ron Simmons' career.
Simple, huh? Watch this. So simple. The boom. And Vader beat him up. He got to his feet quickly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner and new WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Ron Simmons.
Look at that thing. That's an iconic picture right there.
That guy's in tears. What do you think of that, though, JR? You mentioned it. He beat. Vader popped up faster than Ron did, and Ron won the belt.
That bothered me. I just said it'd be a prick.
No, I know, but that is something to think about.
Well, it is if you think it means something. I don't really think it means anything. He beat him for the 3 seconds, but then that's about all he got. It puts the heel over a little bit more, I think. That Ron still won. So it's a interesting show. That's a show to follow up. That we were going to follow up with the Baltimore event, Ron winning and all that good stuff. So interesting show to say the least. A lot of formulaic matches, a lot of just advancement preliminary matches. The Tracy Smothers match with the
Van Hammer.
Van Hammer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, was way too long.
Yeah.
Dustin and whoever he worked with, way too short.
Yep.
So you can always go back. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So here we are critiquing shit that happened 30 years ago.
Mark Canterbury was who Dustin worked with.
Yeah.
But you know what? Listen, the two biggest angles, we could have really just talked about the two biggest angles of this show.
We could have.
It was Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yep.
And his big debut and how that was reviewed and all him coming out and his contract and all. And then the other was Ron Simmons winning the WCW. This is the big 30-year anniversary for that. And it is iconic. It is epic. It's huge. It's something we'll never forget. WCW champion for Ron Simmons. And what a moment. So, JR, thanks for taking the time to watch this together. And it was you, man. You dominated the call of all of this action.
Yeah, so I couldn't remember if I worked with somebody on that show or singular. And obviously we found out I was playing solo on that one. So
yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't too much, JR.
No, I don't think so, buddy. The energy that you brought, you heard the clip. That's what we love. That's what we want. That's the JR that we're here for. And man, that's the JR that gave you the moniker Voice of Wrestling. And this show closed out with, again, that feel-good moment of Ron Simmons. I want to wrap it up with The Observer. They said the show should also look good on television since there were nearly 8,000 fans in the building with big crowd reaction for the two major angles. We just saw it with the Ron Simmons win.
Yeah.
They had a promotion where they let two kids in free with each paying adult. So the actual paid was under 4,000 and the house was close to 35,000.
I'm glad Dave brought that up.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Regardless, it looked awesome. And
thanks for pissing in my Cheerios again. It made breakfast taste really good.
But what a moment. And JR, man, speaking of moments, we're going to talk a little bit next week about some Smoky Mountain Wrestling and a classic episode of that, the Night of the Legends, brother. And
that was a good show.
Yeah.
You know, as crazy as Cornette can be sometimes with his irreverent remarks, nobody can ever deny the fact he's not a brilliant son of a bitch. He's crazy. We all are. So when Cornette's stooges get feedback, well, JR said you're crazy. Also, don't forget to tell him I said I was crazy too. How can you be in the wrestling business this long and not be a little bit insane?
Right.
I believe to be impossible. But nonetheless, Cornette booked a hell of a show. It's one of the best books, big shows I got to work on to that point. And it was just one of those hometown promotions. Knoxville was hot. It was a good show it's a fun show to call. I think if this is not the one, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I worked with Les Thatcher on the show.
I have some highlights here for you that I'm going to run through because I want our audience to know what they can expect. It's your return to announcing and your debut for Smoky Mountain after you're let go by WWF. But you got Bob Orton Jr. and Dick Slater. They take on the Mongolian Stomper and Ronnie Garvin in the Legends match. You have the Gangstas. They're there cutting promos. You got a grudge match between the Heavenly Bodies. Yes, my guy, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey. They're going to take on the Thrill Seekers, who you know very well, Chris Jericho and Lance Storm.
All right.
You got the Rock and Roll Express taking on Primetime Brian Lee and Chris Candido with Sonny, Tammy Fitch. And then the return grudge match, hair versus hair. Man, it's all kinds of classic wrestling and classic JR. So I can't wait, buddy.
Yes, it was a fun show to broadcast. And I had taken a little sabbatical. Getting back in the game was kind of cool. And, anytime you're doing one of Cornette shows that you don't have to book or be involved in creative, because here's the thing. He knows what he wants. And that's good enough. That's good enough for me. If Cornette booked it, I'm going to call it. And I don't have take any exception to that.
Yep.
He doesn't, I know he's not a fan of AEW, which I'm sorry to say that, but it's the way it is with him. But what's that mean? It means one guy doesn't like it. And he's got the right to his opinion. And he's got an educated opinion.
It's not his taste. Yep.
No, it's not his taste. So
it is what it is.
In any event, yes. But it'll be a fun show to do. And you're going to see some really good wrestling, great execution. And again, Cornette was kind of played the role of Conrad Thompson back then. He was a one-man band.
Yeah.
He did everything there was, selling advertising, putting out cards, actually promoting it like you're supposed to promote it. So we'll talk a lot about that, but this is a good card and very well booked, and I think fans are going to enjoy it. You're going to see some guys that you say, I didn't know that guy was that good. Yeah, well, there was a lot of good ones back in those days,
a lot of talent,
and some of them didn't get the chance to display it as much as they probably deserved.
Well, and none of that, we're going to touch on how it even happened for you to be down there and what was it like working for Jim Cornette. So definitely tune in for that. JR, before we get out of here, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, adfreeshows.com, early, ad-free, video. Not only that, bonus content. You get Mike Chioda. You get Dr. Tom Pritchard, who I mentioned, his show, The Monday Mailbag. So much other content. Rebel, You know, DMD Sidekick, she has a show on there that you can check out every other week. So much bonus material. Kevin Nash is a part of the group. Mick Foley's a part of the group. Continues to grow. And JR does bonus shows over there all the time, every single month. So check it out, adfreeshows.com. But I want to talk about JR's BBQ.com, JR.
I think you should.
I think I should, because that's where it's at, brother. That's where it's at.
Well, it is grilling season every in my world every day. When I can grill, I grill. I'm getting ready to make a trip back to Oklahoma soon, so that'll be nonstop grilling on my outdoor kitchen. But business has been really good. I mean, we're out of for a few weeks there of couldn't keep up with the demand for the damn mustard. So the business has been really good. I really am grateful. JR's BBQ.com. We always have specials. You go on, you follow us on Twitter. And see, because that's where you'll see a lot of those offers come through the Twitter platform. And we're always trying to make good deals, and we pride ourselves on our customer service, but we make a damn good product. You know, Mama and Jan didn't make any junk. So it's good stuff, and I'm very happy to have my name associated with it, and hope the folks of this give us a shot. Try it one time. It's not a vanity project. It's not like a gimmick deal where it's got some ego, some guy with a megalomaniac personality that got his picture on a bottle. It's good product, and I stake my reputation on it. So give it a shot. JR'sBBQ.com. Great gifts, great for the patio, great for the grill. So give us a shot, and I think you won't be disappointed.
You will be. You try it once, you will be a return customer. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
There you go. JR'sBBQ.com. Listen, JR, this was great getting back. I'm ready for a great night's sleep tonight, buddy. That's all I can say. You and me both. I'm sure you got a long week ahead of you.
Yep.
And man, but what a great time to be a wrestling fan. We're going to come back next week, and we're going to talk about some Smoky Mountain Wrestling, more classic times. But on behalf,
is that going to be a watch along?
I believe it. I don't know if it will. It's not called a watch along as far as I know right now, but we'll figure that out, and we'll see. It could be. And,
I hope if we can make it a watch along, that'd be cool.
Okay.
Because I think fans need to see this big house. They need to see these talents that they maybe heard casually about somewhere down the road, and see them in some of their finest hours there in Knoxville for Corny and Smoky Mountain. A great show. I was really tickled to be a part of it.
There you go. Well, listen, this has been a fun little review of WCW. We got Ron Simmons winning the belt. Jake the Snake comes in, all told by the voice of wrestling, Jim Ross. On behalf of JR, this is Paul Bromwell. We'll see you right here next week again on Grilling JR.
And I'll see you Friday night on Rampage on TNT.